Hello, 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 and welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race RuCap here on Reality TV Wrap-Ups. I'm your host, Liana Boris, and we are here to talk about the fourth episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 5. Now, I am not alone. Of course, with me, as always, is a queen who I find anything but icy, Beth. Beth, how are you?
Trying to heat it up a little bit in here and try to melt away that ice queen exterior. Yes, I'm doing well. How are you?
Great, great. And we are also here with someone who I would love to watch on any reality TV show, but especially The Real Wives of Tuckahoe. It is Aman. Aman, how are you?
Just up here plotting and scheming against the other housewives, trying to steal some men, trying to steal some drinks or throw some drinks. It's a beautiful day to be catty.
It's always a beautiful day to be catty. I could see that on a t-shirt. I love that. Well, if you are listening to us on your favorite podcasting app, no need to change the channel. But if you are interested, we are doing video now. We've had our glow up, and we are going to be posting these videos on the Rob Has a Podcast YouTube page. So if you are watching us, congratulations, you found us. And if you are interested, head on over to the YouTube page and you can watch our beautiful faces. We are going to be pulling up some images of the looks and all of that stuff so you can watch along with us if you want to be reminded of what those looks look like. Because definitely
here. Fancy.
Oh,
we're growing up and glowing up.
That's right. We have little banners and tickers and stuff. I was playing around with StreamYard, so we're going full profesh over here. All right, well, let's talk about this episode. This was sort of a weirdly edited episode, Beth. We just kind of jump right into the challenge.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, so there was an elimination and here we go. We just jumped right into this challenge, which of course we find out that it's going to be a SheMZ, a take on TMZ, where I was happy to see that they also played like the straight guys in the studio, introducing each clip, which I thought was really funny.
Sorry, are you talking about the still that I have pulled up?
Which I was like kind of hoping we'd also get some judgment. No, I mean like critiques, not judgment, from the judges on like how well they pulled off this portion, because some people were clearly like really in character and some people were just kind of themselves, just slightly deeper voice, which I was fine with, but it just wasn't as funny as the people who were like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Aman, what did you think about this challenge as a whole? Aman. Okay, Aman is at his parents' house and maybe having some internet problems. He has left the call just briefly, but he will be back.
Either that or it was a commentary on that question. He was just like, bye.
He was like, I did not like this.
I'm so sorry. Okay, I like the challenge. I thought that it was a good concept. I just don't know about that execution. Some of these why do they do a bunch of improv challenges knowing the caliber of queens that they are putting on here? Now, if we had a season full of Vanjis and Jujubes and who else? Crackers and just anybody but the people that we have right now, I would have been so much like more on board with this challenge. But so I mean, I like the improv, I do, but I also feel like, because if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of like it's kind of pre-written too. Like they all have like their own like bits of lines that are already set for them, and they just have to like go back and forth and volley with one another.
Yeah, I mean that definitely riff on it.
Yeah, that definitely seemed to be the case, especially because they had props and stuff. So like there was some storyline that they had already written.
So some of these storylines were not created equal, and I feel like that sort of stunted the performance of a few of the queens that already weren't in the improv department. So yeah, I mean SheMZ, I mean, ha ha ha, that's funny. Like that made me chuckle. But I wanted more scandal and less corniness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that one, because for example, the first one with Shay and Alexis, like I really want to know really the extent of what the description that was given to them, because it was eating with the enemy, and it was just, oh, you guys are enemies and you're having lunch together. Like, were they given anything else? Because you compare that to Juju and Blair and Crackers, where it's super topical, like with the admission scandal, it's wrapped into drag you can like make all of these references. So yeah, I totally agree with that, Amon. These storylines were not created equal, Beth.
No, they certainly weren't. And I also have to say, like, we're All Stars 5, right? Why are we doing team challenges every single week? Like, I don't get it. Why are we doing that? It makes so much more sense, like, to let the queens, like, show off who they are individually. And I get that there's like a voting component, and like if you work in a team, you get a better sense of what is out there for like talent, like what people are bringing. If they're really like going gung ho, like you get a better sense of that in a team. But like we don't need it every week. I'm getting kind of sick of it.
Yeah.
Well, and Amon, like this is another week where the groups are predetermined by the producers.
Yeah, this is really, it's, damn it, Brent. Like I'm just, there's like no way around it now. And shout out to Mike Bloom, because he ended up responding to a tweet by Lee Dawson. I'm not sure if you two are familiar with him, but he does like a bunch of edits. So you guys know who I'm talking about. For those of you that don't know, that are listening or watching, Lee Dawson is this guy. He does a bunch of like really cool edits of the show, and he'll call him his recaps. And it's essentially like a very absurdist type approach to recapping the shows, with just adding in a bunch of like funny clips. And he said today, he said, "How are you guys enjoying All Stars? I need the producers to let things happen naturally and fairly. New blood on judges panel, less improv team challenges, and a return to creative challenges that judge someone's actual drag excellence and talent." And the reason why I'm saying shout out to Mike Bloom is because he responded to that tweet, which made me see the tweet in the first place. So, hey, Mike, we miss you. But yeah, I agree. I feel like, why are we still getting these team challenges? It really makes it seem as if you're trying to control who goes with who. So because maybe this queen might edge this other queen out because that they're better at improv, and then you can put that one in the bottom, and then who the lip sync assassin is going to be and how that might actually play into like how things are going to work out. So it's just you're going to get a good season if you cast good queens, and if you cater to the queens that you cast. Like if you want somebody to shine during an improv challenge, fine. Give GGB and give Miss Cracker their time, and then the next time do a sewing challenge or do a singing challenge or something to make the competition as stiff as possible. And right now, I feel like it's like a march to the end for somebody in particular. And if that's the case, I don't want it. Any way you slice it, I don't want any. I want to see some organic. I want an organic slice. That's what I want. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was when they put Mayhem and India Farah together on the same team that I was like, huh. And then they were the two in the bottom. I was like, did you guys just decide that these two queens were going to be in the bottom because you cast them as filler queens for drama and you don't actually think that they can succeed? Like, that was kind of how it felt. And it feels like the producers really didn't like trust us, trust the audience, trust the queens. You don't have to be doing all of these things.
Yep.
Absolutely. I think it's just too bad because I really felt like the first 2 episodes of this season, we were going back to letting the queens tell their story, letting the queens really be the ones that were directing where the drama is, showing off their abilities. And actually, if you look at what the first 2 challenges were, it's the talent show that we all know is going to happen, but that's literally the queen saying, here's me and a talent that I do in drag or out of drag. And then the other part, the second challenge was them writing their own lyrics. Like they had to work as a team, but it was also like there's a lot of individual components to this too. Just like the last 2 have been improv challenges, but like it's not just improv. Like the one and last week was like, you have to design this, you have to like come up with like different like parts of your hotel suite in addition to improving, and you just sit back and you're like, why don't you just give them a straight improv scene? Like I think about well, actually, this wasn't improv, but I was thinking about All Stars 2 when they did the Shequels, how they were split up into different pairs, and but they got to choose who the pairs were, and they had to perform these different scenes. But I think that they had lines for that because that was the infamous like she wears the Shaw from from Roxy trying to figure out what a shaw was, and she meant shawl. But or sash. Actually, it was sash.
Well, and also the like doodah.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
but I think about those kind of challenges, and to your point, Liana, like these were people, or maybe it was Aman, both of your points. We had queens who have a particular skill set that we want to celebrate. And when we try to fit them all into a different box than what we have, you end up with season 7. Season 7 was a season with like wonderful personalities and like high fashion. And then they were like, let's have a whole bunch of acting challenges. And it just didn't suit them. And that's why it has a bad taste in people's mouth.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the thing is that you like, okay, part of the argument is like, well, you know, you have to make all these challenges beforehand, right? Like, it's not like you can be changing things on the fly. But you know the queens that you're casting. Like, you literally watched their videos and picked them. So you can make these choices ahead of time to prepare for the types of queens that you're going to have. So
and honestly, it seems like they're making some of these challenge decisions last minute anyway, because like I said, like not all of these things were created equal. And I feel like the writing for some of this stuff was just like, it's like you're in Hollywood. Like RuPaul, you are the premier drag queen of the world. Literally, there are people within the queer community that are funny. Okay, get some better writers on your team. Okay, I feel like you are in Hollywood. You are in the city of dreams. I just feel like there's no way for you to. But then again, you think about the stuff that RuPaul laughs at, and you're like, well, damn, it makes sense, because as funny as RuPaul, as funny as he can be sometimes, like he's a corny person, and that's fine. But like when it's over and over again, and you know what? Maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on this stuff, because I watch these episodes with my roommate all the time, and he cackles. Okay, like sometimes I feel bad because I feel like I'm bringing down the mood, because I'll just be stone faced while I'm watching Drag Race. Sometimes I'm like, this is not that funny, but he is like living his life, and I'm like, okay. I mean, well, it's resonating with somebody, so maybe I'm in the minority here. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know, sometimes when you do podcast about shows, like because you are gonna come in with a critical eye, because you have to think about that. Like you can't just be stupid and enjoy it, because like, you know, at the end of the day, like we're making all these criticisms and stuff, but I did still have fun watching the episode. I still want to know how all these queens do. So no, but I get you. I completely understand that feeling. Well, okay, let's actually talk about each one of these pairs, or I guess a triplet if you're talking about Juju, Blair, and Cracker. So overall, the goal of this challenge, like we've been talking about, is an improv challenge, which is a spoof of the TMZ show SheMZ, which the first, I don't know, did you guys ever see Popstar Never Stop Stopping? It was a Lonely Island movie that they did.
Andy Samberg?
Yeah,
that sounds familiar. I've never seen it, but I remember seeing trailers for it.
Like, I'm intrigued now because I love Lonely Island.
Yeah, it was like it has a ton of cameos. It's got like a lot of great people in it, but I don't think it did that well in the box office. Anyway, not important. But they do a TMZ spoof, and that's what made me think of this. So for the few of you that may have seen it, you get what I'm talking about. So we get like what Beth was talking about earlier, which is the butch queen realness look of the in the studio with these queens, which was because it sort of surprised me that we were going straight into the challenge, because we do get a little bit of drama before the challenge, but we really just hopped right into it. And I was like, what is going on? What am I watching right now? But I did enjoy this component. It felt a little choppy, but you know, that's kind of what TMZ is. So this was very much on brand.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely felt like, to your point, like we had drama, and I like literally just now blanked out like what was the drama, because we went right into the challenge. Normally there's like a commercial break or something to like break it up, and they were like, and we're gonna move along, and just boom, go right into the challenge, and showcase Justin Bieber.
Oh God, Blair is not fooling anybody, not a damn soul.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's too funny. All right, well, let's talk about each of these groups. So the first team that we have is Shay and Alexis, which their description was eating with the enemy. I didn't catch that for most of them, but for some reason, theirs had like a specific name. But essentially, you have Shay, who is the icy drag queen, who was fired from the Real Housewives of Tuckahoe, and Alexis, who was also fired for the same show. So like that's the whole setup. That's the gag, and then they have to go from there. I don't know if the pregnancy stuff was written on, if they came up with that themselves. Like, I genuinely don't know.
I don't know either. It was bizarre. You have these two queens that are seemingly enemies coming together to have a lunch or whatever, and Alexis's plate is piled with fries and a burger, and Shay is pretty much just drinking water, and it's just have at it. You know, the thing that I would have liked better for this is if we didn't get, maybe this is me nitpicking as usual, but I would have liked if we did not get oh my God, what is his name? Why am I always blanking on the most obvious name? Ross, there we go, thank you. Yeah. I would have liked if we had not gotten Ross on camera. I would have liked if it was all strictly from his point of view, because when you watch these TMZ shows, it's all like the cameraman's never there because they're not important. You're always just capturing whatever the drama is, and I felt like that would have given it a real, more of a flair. I know that they wanted to get more angles or whatever because it's a TV show, but I would have just enjoyed that more. But yeah, Alexis and Shay, they were definitely on the stronger end in terms of performance. Two catty queens trying to be friends, but obviously they're not friends. And then they go ahead and expose each other, and they rip out each other's pregnancy pillows. And yeah, I mean, it was okay. I mean, I chuckled here and there, I guess.
Yeah. I wish that they hadn't had them both be fired from the same show for two slightly different reasons. Like, that doesn't create a good improv challenge. It would have been better if one of them had been the producer that kicked them off the show or something like that. And that, like something that would have inherently had more drama in it, that would have made a little bit more sense to me.
Or if one of them had been kicked off the show and the other one was still on the show, because then you have some inherent conflict that's built into the storyline. That's not just, oh, these are two bitches. One was too trashy and one was too something else. Do you remember, Beth?
Trashy, and the other one was
a synonym of trashy. You know what I mean?
Like, no, but that's exactly my point. It's like they had the same role.
Yeah. And then you task them, like, when you say to us, okay, these two don't like each other. It's like, okay, sure, fine. If you have real improv actresses there, they're going to be able to like build that story. But because neither of these two are, you task them with so much, and then we didn't really get to get any context as to why they hate each other, and they didn't really do a good job of explaining any of that. It was just, you're pregnant, you're faking it, have at it.
The same baby daddy,
the same baby. It was just so weird to me. Like, I sat back and I felt like this group was the middle of the pack group. Like, they did the bare minimum of what they did, and I think some of that could be an issue with what they were given for parts. But here's the beautiful thing with improv. You can do anything. So what if one of you was fired because you got the other one fired, and then they did something to backstab you, and that's what ends up coming out? Like, what if they got each other fired? Like, that, go from that angle and yell at each other from that. Like, it's really weird. Like, it would have been better if like Ross Matthews came up and they were already arguing. Like, that's the reason. Like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like they could have done so much more and created their own drama, and they just didn't go for it. I was a little disappointed, specifically with the fact that you have Alexis, who is just so off the cuff funny, and Shay, who we know is a really great actress. So like, why can't they go a little farther? This is All Stars. Do more.
Yeah, there were no hills and valleys to me. Like, it was just the same thing over and over again, which was them just fighting at each other. But I want to go back to, Amon, something that you brought up with Ross Matthews being there, which I was thinking about that. I was like, do I want them there? Because I remember, what was the one that they did in, was it season 11? I want to say, with Fortune
11.
Feimster, and like, what was the one
Cheyenne
with
Jackson?
Yes, and Cheyenne Jackson. Like,
Oh yeah,
that was an improv challenge.
Mhm.
That was more fun to me, and I'm trying to figure out why.
I think was it cops or something?
Yeah, they were
Yes.
like getting arrested. Like all of them had been called. I don't know if it was a spoof on Cops, like the show, or if it was like just
I remember Naked Brooklyn Heights. That memory is like in my brain.
Yeah, it was something like you're calling the authorities on the queens for acting. Yeah,
Yeah.
something
And,
weird like that, which
and
probably
Victoria
wouldn't go over
doing
with too well right now.
Twerking. A lot of her twerking. So.
Yes. Let's see. Yeah, because I was just trying to think if it was like a situation where they had more people to play off of, and so that was helpful. Like, they were the straight man, and was that what Ross was supposed to be here in this situation?
And Ross was trying to like give them ammo, you know what I mean? Which is always like that's like if I were in the challenge, I would hate that, because that's like kind of like the kiss of death, It's like that's he wasn't there for the judging panel, but if he were, and I'm sure he confers with Rue and everything, he would be able to tell them like, I tried to throw them bones and they just were not biting. You know what I mean? Because some of the stuff that he would come up with, the queens would kind of like take it, but not really. So it's just like, I don't. I would just be so frustrated because it's just so much to like have to deal with him being there. So.
And that's the thing with improv. Improv is about listening to what's happening and reacting to it. And sometimes not really even thinking, just kind of like going with it. And if you're somebody who's improv smart, I'm going to phrase it like that. What you need to be doing is listening to what the cues are around you and like see what's happening and how can you elevate it to the next part? How can you have those hills and valleys like Liana pointed out? And that is something you can use Ross for. If Ross is like kind of within the scene, like questioning what's happening, you should be figuring that out and trying to figure out how to get yourself out of it too.
Well, I think part of the issue also is like when you have a plan for your improv like sketch, and then you're not willing to sort of change that, like someone else coming in like Ross who doesn't know that plan, well, you're just going to be like, like go away, like you're not going to really want to interact with him. So yeah, I looked up. It's the LADP, Los Angeles Drag Patrol scene. Oh, yeah. So that was the challenge, which again, that one I had much more fun with. So
I did too.
I mean, look, like I did chuckle a few times.
Yeah.
But I was like, afterwards. So yeah, middle of the road kind of deal, I think, for me. And the thing though that actually really gave me more enjoyment was Alexis and Shay trying to be professional with one another, where you can just tell you have this like seething, like underlying annoyance with the other person, and they're just trying their best, especially Shay. She gives that confessional about like I will have to be professional, like I need to be professional. That underlying hatred, like if that could have been the sketch, maybe I would have liked that more.
Yes, use your actual relationship in this, like that's what I'm saying. Like there were so many more things they could have done and like used real life feelings in an improv scene. Like that makes it so much easier.
I really feel like I'm thinking I'm gonna double down on this and say that I think it's RuPaul. I mean, because all the slapping and like throwing food everywhere and pillowcases, Ru is probably laughing his ass off at that. Like, and you know what? Play to your audience.
That's true.
Yeah, like Crystal with the mullet. Like, you know what you gotta do, girl.
Right?
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, let's talk about the next group of queens. So we have Juju, Blair, and Cracker, who are doing the admission scandal skit with the three of them. Aman, what did you think about these queens?
This was better. This was slightly better for me. I think, you got Juju, you got Miss Cracker in there, so how could you fail? And Blair sort of just, all she had to do was kind of like be pretty and cry. But I mean, obviously it was topical because we all are aware of the college admission scandal, and you sprinkle in a little drag you in it. That's kind of, that's pretty witty. I think that the only thing I didn't really quite understand was why Miss Cracker was leaving. Well, I guess it's just to have a gag in there for her leaving the free clinic. But it was funny. She was in it. She was in it. Like, I mean, I think somebody during the judging critique were talking about how like she was looking out, but before she walked outside of the clinic, like she was in character the whole time. She had the money in her bra. She was giving you all of the visual cues that, bitch, I'm guilty. And yeah, I like this a lot. I like the banter between her and Juju. I like the fact that they ended up being lovers. I just thought it added so much more a complicated layer on top where you could really just dig and mine and find a bunch more material to use. So yeah, this was definitely, you could tell that these two queens were a little bit more seasoned in this department, and it showed. So I like this one a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this one a lot as well. To exactly what you're saying, Iman. This is an example of two queens, and I'm not going to include Blair on this, and I'll get to why. But you had Juju B and Cracker, who are inherently going to be really great at this challenge anyway. So that's why I was like, ooh, that's shady of the producers to just say, well, let's put both of them in the same group because we know that they're going to do well. But they're exemplifying the yes and portion of improv. Okay, yes and what? Okay, let's make this a little further. Let's have those hills and valleys. I mean, they weren't always just yelling at each other. They had those moments that they were trying to be like sensual with each other and like whispering, and they had dynamics and they had everything happening around them, which was great. And they took control of it. Ross didn't dictate what was happening in this one. They dictated what Ross was going to react to and say, which I like so much better. Here's my issue with Blair. And it wasn't necessarily just her. What is the child supposed to do in that situation? So producers, like, I don't really know, like, what Blair was supposed to add other than crying and like talk about how crappy jail was and then pretend like she's an influencer and all that kind of stuff, right? Like, as if it was her just making fun of like Lori Loughlin's daughter, like, okay, then that requires her to have her own YouTube page where she sounds tone deaf. But like, you really can't do that within the context of Juju B and Cracker running off and becoming lovers at one point in the season. There's no point for her to like fit into that. It would have been a better 2-person scene without that third person. I'm not just saying because it's Blair. I'm just saying like that third person. Like, Blair had a really hard role in the context of this. And I thought she was fine. I liked her line about the overhead lighting and all that kind of stuff, but then everything else was just her basically being like, and how do I fit in here? That's
we don't know, Blair. How do you fit in here?
We don't know. But as a former admissions counselor for a college, I really appreciated this because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I really liked this. This was by far my favorite of the three. And now that you're saying that, Beth, I'm just thinking of Blair running around in the background. Like, that's what I remember. It's like the scene was Juju and Cracker, and then Blair was also there, Yeah. But Aman, the question is like, do you think Blair could have done something with that role, or do you think like
I'm racking my brains?
Producers,
you know how I feel about improv, so like I'm like really trying to do my best to come up with something, and this is why I'm not good at it, because I can't come up with anything that she could have done. Oh, I wish I was so good. I wish I was good at improv. It's so annoying.
But even
maybe.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So even if she had like the line that was like, "See, Mom, I knew that we'd find her here," or something like that, that would tie in like the setting or something like that. Like, rather, I don't know. There's really not much she could have done. I
don't know. Record herself more often and just like try to be in the background the whole time, like filming the fight and saying like, this is why I'm an influencer, so that you guys don't have to go through these mistakes. If she just like really sold the influencer thing, then maybe just make it as absurd as possible. Like, I don't know, maybe even try and join with Ross. Like are you guys have any opening applications at GMZ? I would love to apply, something like that,
Yeah. Oh, that actually would have been really good. And then
That's
like
really
you
good.
tie it into like, Mom, can you pay him to like let me be it? You know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
and then Juju B takes some of the money out of Miss Cracker's like brat.
Yeah.
There it is. It's in there somewhere. You gotta think.
We solved it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the one then thing that Blair might open herself up to in terms of criticism that was like, oh, you like forced your way in here, like you're stepping on the other queen's toes. So sometimes you don't know how that could go. Like Blair being safe was like, I accept this,
Yeah.
like she didn't do anything wrong, but she also wasn't like standout great, but that part of that also is just the role that she was given, which I love the fact the producers are like, here, play a child. You already look 12. So
Yes. I don't know. While I accept that there was a lot that was out of her control, we have seen queens that have been assigned things by producers that find their way in the bottom, which I would also argue is the Mayhem India thing that we talked about earlier. And in my opinion, Blair should have been in the bottom. We'll get to her runway look, but I also felt like that added into it for me.
I just love
this tree.
I love this scene because when I was taking improv in college, there was this one girl. She was really, really good at it. And one thing that she would always do in every scene is that she would end up like falling in love with one of the characters, and that was like her thing. And it would like be so like, it would piss off our teacher so much, but because she was so good at it, you laughed every single time, and you knew it was gonna come. She'd stop the scene and be like, honey, let's not do this in front of them. And it would work every single time. So the fact that was the route that Cracker and Juju took was just, it made me laugh because I just started thinking about that immediately.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, let's talk about India and Mayhem. They are the last group that we see go here. And so once I was reminded that India Farah had the shoplifting thing, I was like, oh yes, I remembered this. How freaking shady of the producers, Beth, to just be like, oh, hey, so remember that charge that you had? Yeah, we're going to make a whole scene around it. Oh, and you're going to be the shoplifter.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, it was, that was a little shady. But you know what? If we're going to have Blair play a child, I mean, why not do something that's within your wheelhouse, I guess? I don't know. I don't know. I thought this scene started off the strongest out of the three of them, and then just dissolved into what is happening not even in a funny way. Like I just like, this was a situation where like they clearly had a good plan, they had good characterization, they had good physicality, and then it just like they lost it. And if you can't keep up momentum, if you can't keep up the changing pace, if you can't make things, even in improv where things don't have to make sense, there has to be some kind of cohesive storyline. And there was no cohesive storyline after a while with this. And so it really fell off the rails for me.
The donut licking storyline, the Ariana Grande reference from several years ago didn't like capture you.
I mean, if it didn't work for Tatiana, who was Ariana Grande in Snatch Game, it's not going to work here, especially when they're licking a vase on pavement.
Yeah, when it like actually was topical. Aman, your video is kind of going in and out, so I don't know if you're here with us on this day.
This day.
Oh yes, okay, yes, I see you. All right, Aman, give me
everything.
Your thoughts.
It's so weird because the video cut. Sorry.
Give me your thoughts.
Oh yeah, the video cuts in and out, but like I hear you guys the entire time. It's really strange.
Okay.
But so was that what the reference was supposed to be? It was supposed to be to Ariana Grande.
It's the only donut liquor out of
it. I know that we're supposed to say yes, but sometimes can we say no? I just don't understand. It has to make sense within the context of the scene, and I know that absurd can be funny. It can, but it has to be controlled absurdity. Okay, it has to be. So you're trying to get out of the shoplifting by admitting that you're a licker. Why wouldn't you just admit that you are a grabber, a toucher? Like you just can't stop touching things, and then the vase in. But so you steal these things because you want to lick them? Is that what we're supposed to grab from this?
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Or why wouldn't you just be licking things in the store? why wouldn't we think, oh, she's a shoplifter because she has all these bags? But no, Mayhem comes out and she's like, I saw what you did. You licked everything in my store. Come back and pay for it. Something like that. I don't know.
Or if
so
Mayhem had like a sign up or whatever that she brought out and was like, you saw our sign. If you lick it, you bought it, or something like that. Like,
yeah.
Like something to tie that portion back into like how it makes sense within the context of
right.
that story.
And I kind of liked what Mayhem ended up doing and trying to actually also be a licker, because she was obviously, SheMZ was there. She's like, oh, let me get my moment. And so she decided to like sort of like she did yes and. She's like, yes, and I'm a licker too. So she starts licking everything, and the bases come out of the vag, and then they start licking the sugar glass. And I mean, I was laughing because I was just like, what the hell is going on? But
yeah, I definitely had a what am I watching moment.
I had the what am I watching moment. It didn't quite reach this level, but I almost got to the vibes of when RuPaul made them last season in season 12 all act like cats for the mini challenge.
Yes.
Where they had to sell litter. I was literally like, I think that we've derailed this from Drag Race, and this has just turned into Absurdist Hour. Like, I was expecting like Monty Python to all of a sudden pop in and like start doing absurd British humor, and I was like, I don't get what we're doing anymore. I don't get it.
Yeah, because I also thought that this scene started really strong. And I think Michelle comments on this in the judging, where it's like when you have India come out with a bunch of bags, boobs out to here, like getting her money's worth out of that breastplate, like I'm already entertained. I'm already laughing. You get the interaction with Ross, which actually this was like made sense in terms of why Ross was there, like trying to catch her, like got surprised and all that stuff. And then, yeah, it just went like what is even happening? And yeah, to your point, Aman, about like, well, just tie it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna do something super absurd, it has to at least make sense.
I really feel like they were banking on the fact that they got down on the ground and started licking that glass. I would have thought that was going to be something. Because that was, Mayhem kind of said as such. It's like, oh yeah, like I just really thought that we really committed, like we were licking glass on the ground, and I'm like, yeah, that's crazy, but like, is that all that this scene is going to be? That you thought that was going to be like the end all be all for the two of you? Because it just didn't make any sense. And I'm all for dedication, but dedicate to something, like.
Well, one thing that I noticed in the deliberations, and maybe this is also in Untucked, I can't remember, but it felt like the other queens were giving a lot of praise to that scene. So I don't know if they got to watch it or like how, because maybe it just didn't translate to TV. Like maybe it was funnier in person if they got to watch it, because everybody was like, I don't agree with this judging. Like, and right. I mean, okay, sure, there's only 3 scenes, so it's like one of y'all's has to be in the bottom. But they were like really effusive with their praise, man.
Yeah, and I was shocked with that. I was like, honestly, you guys are selling yourself short, because the other two, they at least had some sort of like cohesive story, but you all really thought that somebody else deserved to be in the bottom. Like, did you guys maybe they wanted Blair to go home? Maybe they thought that she was bad. Maybe, because look, it's All Stars, okay? The strategy is different.
Right.
And sometimes I think that Blair, to your point earlier, Beth, I think that Blair sort of like played it safe because she knew that she wasn't going to be the best. And sometimes just be safe, because if you're not in the bottom, you're not going to go home. You know what I mean? And with All Stars, anybody can end up going home. So if I'm on All Stars and I see their performance, yeah, I'm going to talk down on it, because I don't want to be in the bottom either. So that was strange to me. I was like, what are we missing here? Maybe there was more licking footage happened that we missed out on. Maybe I don't know. Like, did we get to see all the licks?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that so I kept thinking about this, and it would have been a funnier gag would have been if Mayhem had started like searching India for items and like found stuff in that huge breastplate and found this over here and like up her sleeve and then like all this other stuff, and like it was like 2 vases cracked, boom boom, out from between the legs. And like, while that's funny, and there is a part of me that was so impressed that she kept a couple vases there for like a while and like walked and everything with them. But like, it would have been funnier if it was like throughout the scene, you just got a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and you built it up to all of a sudden just the vases come out. Like there's things they could have done to make it funnier without having to resort to something that just made no sense.
It seemed like they made the choice only to culminate in, oh my goodness, I want to get down and lick this vase off the floor, because like the donut thing coming out of nowhere, and then you had to keep going with it, and then it was just like, okay, all right,
yeah, it's just weird. Or like,
well, maybe that is how it worked. They were like, hey, this is a really funny ending. Now let's try to figure out how to get to that funny ending, instead of like, let's actually write a cohesive scene that makes sense. That definitely could have been the way that it went, Beth.
I think so. I think that's probably how it had to have gone. And maybe it would have been funnier if they had built it up better. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of the runways, and then we can talk about the final judging here. So Sarah Hyland was our guest judge, which I actually thought she was a lot of fun. I loved the dropping vases from your puss, and then like, can I say that line? which that's so fun. I love it when the guest judges are enjoying themselves and we get to see some of their personalities. So that was very much enjoyable for me. But the runway theme was Come On Camo Couture, and we have the queens come out in their best camo looks. The first queen to walk the runway is Juju B, Miss Thang, walking in this cape dress with red pumps look. Beth, what did you think about this?
I thought it was gorgeous. It was sleek. It really fit her beautifully. I do agree with the judges who said, I wish there was just one more thing to put it like over the top. And for me, I think it could have been that like pale pink beige like color on her cape as like a belt in the middle or something. That I think that there's, or like even if it was tied in the red a little bit more like in the middle as well. But I love this. She looks absolutely stunning. This is absolutely my favorite thing that she's worn on the runway so far. It's not the best look out of everybody, but for me, it was super strong. And for someone who we normally criticize a little bit for maybe looking like she's owning them all now. Is that what we said, Amon? Like she owns them all now? I thought this was okay. She owns them all, and I liked it. It was elevated.
Amon, what did you think about this look?
Yeah, I think that she owns them all once again. Maybe she acquired and
she owns Dick's Sporting Goods now.
Yeah, she owns the Dick's Sporting Goods down the street as well. Like, so she's coming up on her real estate, as it were. I mean, it's a beautiful look. I do agree with the judges though that it seems to be missing something, and I think it's like it's All-Star 5, and I know that I hate to keep saying that, and because I am a big fan of the queens that can turn a look and it looks expensive, but it's not. Like, I don't need you to break the bank. You know what I mean? But I also need for there to be some sort of like zest and some sort of pop. And I think there is a little bit of pop in like the red heels, purse, and hair. But it does just seem sort of like, okay, you know. And she has to manipulate the outfit so much to get all of the camo to show.
I think I'm just super obsessed with this cape. Like, now that I'm looking at the dress underneath, I'm like, meh, but I loved the cape when she first walked out. I just love capes in general. So I thought this was very pretty. I think maybe like a red brooch or something like that would have also helped to sort of tie in that red pop. But yeah, I mean, I liked this look, but I think maybe something could have been done to your guys' point and the judges' point of like just something to make it pop and make me go, because I definitely didn't go wow. I was like, oh, that's pretty, but I didn't go, oh my gosh.
I also wish her lipstick was the same color as her shoes and her purse. Like that would have been really cohesive. And I appreciate she did go for a red lip, but it just something that vibrant would have been amazing. But yeah, I mean, obviously she looks good in it. I think it was judged a little bit more.
I feel like she's worn it before, you know?
Oh, that's a good way to put that. Yeah. Like, this isn't the first time she's worn it. Kind of. Yeah.
Which doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, because there have definitely been queens that have worn things on the main stage that you've maybe seen them wear at a club, or, you know, I've definitely seen some looks that, I mean, Monet's sort of like been all over the place with all the videos that she does. So she has to be on stage all the time. So I've seen her recycle custom episodes or some outfits before. but you just want like you don't want to have to feel that way every time that she comes on the runway. You know what I mean? Even the entrance look, I was just like, that looks like you wore that before. You definitely were at a club last Saturday, and this was the look that you were at Roscoe's, and that's what you wore. It's like, so.
Well, just going full reduce, reuse, recycle here. Like,
exactly.
No problem with that. Okay, but that would also like the fact that she has a camo look, if it is something from her closet, like already has a camo look, that's somehow amazing to me. So you go, girl. Our next queen up is Miss Cracker here. Amon, what did you think about Cracker's look on the runway?
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I like to see. This is like, they were saying Ariana Grande. I'm seeing a little bit of Kim Petras in this as well. Just, yes, pop star, princess, really, you don't know if you don't know if she can really sing, but she looks like she can really sing. So that's all you need to buy into the fantasy of it all. I love the shoulder pads, the chains that come down the middle, the long ponytail, the thigh highs. I mean, it all works. It works. And I feel like we don't really see stuff like this from Miss Cracker. I'm having a hard time remembering all of her looks from season 10, but I feel like most of them are so much more like on the artsy fartsy side and less like the glamour girl side. And so I appreciated seeing this from her.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up some of her other looks to see. I remember like when she makes the things out of hair. That's a good thing to me. But Beth, what did you think about this look?
I love this. This is a departure, to your point, Amon, from what we traditionally see from Cracker. We normally see the same kind of silhouette. This is a little different. She's showing much more skin than she normally does. I was getting exactly what you were saying. Kim Petras, Lady Gaga kind of vibes. And I love this. When she came out, I was like, this is a woman. A woman is here. She's gorgeous. This is such a cool look. And it's unique. It's not something I would have expected at a Cracker, which is why it's so much better on a season like All Stars 5. I really loved it.
Yeah, I think the thing that I like the most about this is it's just video vixen realness for me. Like this is like, oh wow, this is so cool. And her makeup just really ties the whole look together. And and the hair, oh my gosh, like I'm just looking at it now and it really just truly is gorgeous. And this to me is like it's the theme of the runway, which is camo, but you are taking it to the next level and you're doing something different with it, which is something that I really truly appreciate from Cracker here.
Yeah, both the top and the bottom pieces have a different element to it than you would traditionally see, not just for Cracker, but for anybody. And then you tie in those boots with kind of the velvet material on them, which you wouldn't expect, but it goes so well for some reason. Like I was just thoroughly impressed.
Okay, Beth, it's time to talk Blair St. Clair. Give me your thoughts.
Okay. So I appreciate thinking outside of the box for what camo could be. Like, why not be the tree? Except for why not be the tree? Because you're not actually a tree when you're in camo. like, no, come on, use camo as like a print. There were so many different kinds of camo. It doesn't have to be the traditional one that we see in the army that we've seen for the past 2 looks. It doesn't have to be that traditional camo. We see other queens that are going to do it really, really well. This to me looked more like whimsical fairy of the forest than it did camo. It just, to me, it did not meet the assignment. I think it's a cool look.
You reminds me of an Ent.
Yes,
from Lord of the Rings. Like this is what I'm getting when I look at her.
But like, if an Ent had like
a fairy daughter,
a gay child,
like if like the little like moth thing that Gandalf whispers to save him from Sauron's tower, like had a family that lived on an Ent, I don't know, like, but this is, it just
an Ent that has Keebler elves living inside of it.
I will say this though, I think that this outfit makes her silhouette look really cool. Like I really got like tree trunk kind of roots kind of thing from her legs, and it's a really cool aesthetic. It just doesn't meet the assignment to me. It just is a weird choice.
Aman, what did you think about her interpretation?
I liked it. I like the fact that she decided to really blend in with the background here. I mean, I feel like if you were to drop her out of a helicopter into the middle of the Amazon, particularly a part of the Amazon that is infested with butterflies, she might blend in here, you know.
Except for the hair.
Yeah, the hair is definitely the Amazon has never seen that color ever. But I think that this was an interesting way to take it. I like it when they think outside of the box. So her becoming a part of the background in a tree, I thought was nice. And the shoulder pads are just, they look really, really heavy, but effortless at the same time. So I like the, it's also got like a bit of like a 70s kind of thing to it with those pants. So I feel like there's like a lot of things to draw from here. I mean, I definitely understand that it's not, you wouldn't think camo. Like if I had seen this isolated and didn't know what the theme was, I would think, is it, you know, magical forest? Is it mythical creature? Like what? I would not think camo. But being that it is camo, I like what she did here. I'm a fan.
Yeah, when she first walked out, I was like, "What? No, like no. This is not the theme. This is a questionable interpretation at best." Especially because Blair was the other one when it was the skin.
I was just gonna say that
runway, and she was pink, which just like add it to the list of questionable interpretations. But kind of the more I look at it, I think the more I like it. Even though I don't think it truly matches. I mean, you can, if like I zoomed in on the fabric, and it is kind of camo.
Camo-y, yeah.
But that doesn't immediately stand out. Like I can't tell you, like you guys are saying, that this is the camo theme. But she looks gorgeous. She looks 10 feet tall because of the way that the silhouette is, right? Because you have this continuous line coming from essentially from under her boobs all the way down, which is really sleek and really pretty. So I don't really know how I feel about this. Probably middle of the road, just because there's so much I love about it and also so much I hate about it. So it averages out.
Here's what I wish she would have done to make it more camo. Don't do beauty makeup. Don't do a red wig. Instead, make your makeup look like if you're going to go fashion and in cutesy or whatever, do a cutesy camo makeup look that makes you part of the tree, and then have your wig look like it's a continuation as a part of the branches and like leaves or something of the way. But the fact that that is not tied into the rest of the look is really weird to me. Like if you're going to be the tree from head to toe, not from shoulder down. And I think that would have tied it in a little bit better for the theme to me. But I don't know. I can't give her the props for the theme. Like, for me personally, like I appreciate thinking outside the box. I appreciate the look on its own, but I can't.
Yeah, one of those things where it's like, I appreciate the effort, but because it's not what I asked for kind of thing. Like, I can see that. Yeah. All right, let's talk about Shea Coulee, Aman. What did you think about Shay's look on the runway this week?
So she went for like a Burberry-esque camo type deal, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's like the proper fashion term. I hated it. I hated it. I thought it looked. It just. I feel like bits and pieces of the outfit blended in so much with one another that I couldn't differentiate what was part of what. I mean, she has like this. I thought that the bow that was like part of the bonnet was a part of the collar, but it's not. And then all of a sudden, it like fans out at the bottom. And then I think there's like some weird stuff going on with her sleeves, but I can't tell because everything's.
Yeah.
I hear that, because it's like there's no shape, which is, I think, kind of the point. Like you're trying to make this type of silhouette, but because the pattern is so busy, like everything just gets lost, which is what I think Aman is trying to talk about with the bow, and then the fabric for the bow and the flare at the bottom. Yeah, it just doesn't look like it matches, Beth.
Yeah, it's also like she's trying to go for like 60s housewife, which is a weird concept for camo. But I also, again, I appreciate that this isn't a traditional, I cannot talk today, traditional camo look. I appreciate that the colors are different. I love the matching water can and that kind of stuff. But it's just, for me, like, it's okay. I'm not like throwing dollar bills at the stage for it. But I'm also not, I can't bring myself to boot the look because, like, at least it is cohesive. I don't maybe agree with the executions, but
there's just too much going on. Like,
yeah, there's too much going on.
At the top, it's like, you know, housewife maybe in like the 60s or something, but then the bottom is like a cute skirt, but then you got like chaps, and it's like, what is this?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I wonder if she didn't have like the leggings like portion of it, if it would have been better.
Okay, I love everything
so.
from the neck up. Okay, I think I like the head shawl. I love the big hair. I love the glasses. I think then just everything else, like you guys are saying, is just too much. It's too much. It's too busy. I don't know. I can't boot it, but I can't tell if that's because I love Shea Coulee and I'm biased. And I mean, it looks like she spent too much money on this. Like, that's what I'm feeling.
She was scammed.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think that there's too much going on. You guys are kind of convincing me it's a boot. I wasn't sitting here being like, yes, Shea Coulee, but at the same time, I wasn't like hating on it. But the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm confused.
Well, this next look by Alexis is one that I personally really, really loved. See, this is how you interpret, to me, this is how you interpret the camo theme and do something different, but still have it be absolutely fabulous. Because here she went with the winter camo. It still fulfills the requirement. It's very clearly camo. And this look, Aman, is just gorgeous, I think. How about you, Beth? Aman's having a little bit of connectivity issues.
No worries. This to me is my favorite look. I felt like Alexis and Cracker were the two that had the best outfits, but this just goes a level above Ms. Cracker. Exactly your point. It's in a creative interpretation of the assignment. It is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. You have this dress robe cape kind of outfit with the white pants underneath and the boots, the white hair, the beautiful makeup, everything is tied together. It is absolutely chef's kiss. Absolutely love it.
Aman, what do you think about this?
I'm trying to get through the blizzard. That's why I'm having a connectivity issue right now. But yeah, I like this as well. I mean, I agree. I mean, she sort of like did what you wanted Blair St. Clair to do as far as the hair is concerned. You know, it's sheer white, but then you got a little bit of leaves in there. Like if there was a snowstorm, you wouldn't see her coming. You know, it'd be too late for you. So yeah, the Queen of Narnia is definitely coming for us.
Oh my God, that's literally what I was thinking. I was like, she's like from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Like, this is full Narnia realness. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. This is such a we've got a Lord of the Rings reference, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We be learning over here. Come through books. All right. Yeah. If we talk about this more,
camo, we'll just have to pull out some like PETA references from Hunger Games, like when he gets paints himself to look like he's in the rocks or something, you know.
That's right. Yeah. the cake maker extraordinaire. All right, let's talk about Mayhem Miller's look. So she yeah. Beth, tell me your thoughts.
If I saw this at a club, I'd be like, ooh, I see it on All Stars 5 and I go, okay.
Yeah.
And here's the reason why. And this is why I'm so like, Mayhem apparently can never wear pink on the runway ever because it just gets her kicked off the show. Like, this is beautiful. Like these are beautiful colors on her. I love this interpretation of like the Barbie, like G.I. Joe camo kind of thing. But it's kind of basic. It's a bodysuit with some belts that connect to your boots and you have some chains. There you go.
Yeah, that's kind of about it. Like
moving on. No.
I mean, like I like it. It's camo. It definitely fulfills the requirements of the runway. I like the little bag that's sort of hanging off of her like boots, hips kind of. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's a bodysuit with some chains and like it's fine, but I don't know if this was in a lineup, I wouldn't be like, yes, mama, give it to me. It's like, okay, yeah, it's good. It's good. And I mean, Mayhem is the type of queen that's perfect. You know, she performs all the time. She is great as a drag performer, but you know, kind of like we're talking about, this is All Stars and we're just looking for something with that little bit of oomph. We're looking for something that's more than this. And so unfortunately, like, meh for me.
One thing that I think would have actually helped her a lot is kind of similar to if we remember what Ms. Cracker's bottom portion looked like, how it didn't have a skirt in the front, but it did on the sides and the back. If you had that print on the sides and the back with like that olive green kind of material tying it all together, that would have elevated it enough where I would have been like, all right, here we go. That's kind of a cool outfit. It's a cool concept. I love the pink. I also think if you're going for Barbie always has accessories. Like have something with you. Like act like a Barbie or something on the runway. I don't know. Like I think that there could have been something that maybe she could have elevated a little bit more with that.
Mm-hmm. Mon, what did you think about Mayhem's look here?
Yeah. I kind of agree with what both of you guys just said in that it's, damn, I hate it when it's so easy to, I hate when I can't really say anything about an outfit. Like it's just, I mean, she said that she was going to be Barbie. She said she's going to be G.I. Jane Barbie or whatever. And I mean, mission accomplished. I mean, you've definitely made it home safely, girl. I just don't know if you did enough. You know, it's just, I mean, it's pretty. But it's All Stars 5. And I kind of feel the same way that I felt about Juju's outfit. You know what I mean? So I kind of like I felt for her in that as far as the runway was concerned, you weren't the only one that was sort of like not giving it to me. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. But your performance in the challenge is what's going to really do you in here. But yeah, it's All Stars 5. Like you gotta bring it each and every time. Like if anything, you don't know what the challenges are going to be like, right? So if anything, bring it on the runway. So in the event that you do end up in the bottom for a challenge, you slay the runway, you know? So I just And
there is something that didn't she say like she normally doesn't wear bodysuits. So like this for her is kind of pushing it for herself. Was that
which is such a cop out. Like
I have to agree with that, Amon. I was like, yeah, but
you don't wear a bodysuit, so you switch it out for like pretty much a bodysuit that just doesn't have arms and legs, meaning a corset. Like I just come on, like it's
you don't wear bodysuits, but every other queen on Drag Race does. So you're gonna, instead of making yourself stand out, you're gonna wear something that is literally the go-to basic to do on the runway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Just because you don't do it doesn't mean that everybody else. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make you unique in this context. So yeah, just an odd choice. All right, well. India Farah was her Mayhem's partner here. Do we think that India did a little bit better, Amon, with the runway?
I do. The only thing that I don't like is that this sort of looks like her outfit from last week, doesn't it? It's just camo instead of black and white, and it doesn't like have 3 looks in one, but it's like the whole
that's a good point. Yeah,
ostentatious shoulder pad thing with a tight middle, and then the pants underneath the long skirt. It's same exact thing that she wore last week. I do like the hair. I do like the face. I still have not seen her first season in full, so I don't really know how much she's grown in terms of like what she does up there. But I liked it, and it was nice and sleek and, to the point. But it really reminded me of last week, so I was just like, okay.
Yeah, sure. This is last week's look. I pulled up a picture here, and so you can kind of see the shoulder looks similar, and then the flare of the silhouette, looks very similar. I get what you're putting down.
As a side note, I thought that the way she painted last week made her look a lot like Morgan McMichaels, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah. And I was like, oh wow, it's Morgan. I agree. I think that this is a pretty similar silhouette, but it's one that she pulls off really well. What I had an issue with is either this huge necklace or whatever she's wearing underneath is gold. Like, why? Why are you wearing that? It makes no sense with the outfit, and you don't need it. It makes it so clunky, like you're actually cutting off your neck a little bit.
Well, speaking of Barbie dolls, it feels like somebody plucked her head off of a different doll and plucked it on.
Put it on here.
Yeah, like her head looks so small because the shoulders are so big, and it proportionally, like, I like.
And we don't have a chest at all.
Yes, exactly. I like the pieces individually; they just don't go together.
Yeah, this is like both her and Blair went for let's have bright red hair with camo, which is either a statement or it's like, isn't the point of camo to blend in? I don't know. So I love the hair. I just also don't like it with this outfit. That's just how I am. So I felt like for her, I just didn't like whatever was going on in the chest, neck area and up. Her makeup was fine. I loved the outfit itself. I thought that it wasn't the best, but it by far wasn't the worst of what we've seen. So I thought that she definitely, like, if I had a choice based off of the challenge, based off of the runways, I felt like her runway fit the assignment better than Blair St. Clair's, in that they had a kind of the same level of what they brought to their scenes. Except for there was probably a little bit more pressure on India and Mayhem as they were the only two, and Blair got to rely on 2 other people to cover her up. I was somebody who felt like Blair should have been in the bottom. There should have been a bottom 3.
Yeah, so it's interesting that we get a bottom 2 here. So after all of the runways, it's Shay and Blair that are declared safe, and then the other queens get critiques, which I thought was interesting because it's not like there's that many of them. Like, can't you just give them all critiques? But like, fine, whatever. So our winner here is Cracker. Juju, based on the critique, seems to be in the top. Alexis seems to be low, but the bottom is India and Mayhem here. And so these are the 2 queens that are up for elimination, which it felt, God, it just feels so overproduced, especially when like they're in a team together. They feel like the 2 queens that are potentially going to go next. So fine, whatever. We go into deliberations with these 2.
I have to say, I don't agree with the Alexis being low for the judges. I agree with what you said. I think that the judges put her low. I would have switched out her and Shay. I think Alexis did stronger in that challenge because she was doing little things like shoving food in her in her chest and like all these different kinds of things. Like, she was the one that was kind of like doing the yes and Shay was kind of following along. Like, I didn't see Shay develop things as much as Alexis did. And I felt like Alexis's runway was the best out there. So I didn't agree with Shay being safe and Alexis getting lower critiques, even though she wasn't in the bottom. I really felt like that was a miss on the judges' portion from my perspective.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that, mainly just because it was like, oh, it's already written.
Yeah.
Like fine. But now, yeah, now that you're saying that, I could definitely see things like easily could have been switched up. And that's why it just feels like, oh, you've already predetermined everything. So
Right.
fine, like go ahead
Mhm.
with it.
Mhm.
And then okay, so I want to talk about the deliberations because I also kind of want to talk about some of the stuff that happened like after the elimination at the very beginning of the episode, which is this concept of like, how do you vote? Because there seems to be an element of like, I'm going to vote for the person that fights the hardest. And
Right.
Cracker talks about this where she's like, oh, I'm treating this like a lip sync. So I want to see the queen that's going to fight the hardest for it. Then on the flip side, you have Mayhem talking about voting strategically. So
Mhm.
I think it's going to be interesting, Amon, to see how the voting the rest of the season kind of plays out. I have a feeling like we're just going to get this who's trying the hardest kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
I don't know because I mean I like I said I was very happy last episode when Mayhem decided to vote for Shay because I was like, okay, finally somebody that's willing to engage in the rules that are All Stars. So I'm trying to be a bit of an optimist to think that that's going to continue to happen. And the only reason that they all voted to get rid of Mayhem was because Mayhem had the balls to go ahead and get rid of Shay. So they're thinking, well, I don't want her sticking around because if I'm in the bottom again and I'm a strong competitor, she might try and send me out of here. It might convince other people to do so because I think that once you do it, once at least one or two of you do it, because her and Alexis did it, then it's easier coming down the line for other people to do the same thing. And so I think they want to get rid of the person that's causing chaos and just have it, go back to normal. Also, I mean, we're going to find out in Untucked that she voted for herself. So good. You got to go because I don't care how close you are with India. That's cute and everything, but you don't vote for yourself. Come on. So I'm glad that she was the one to go because it seemed like she had given up. I understand the frustration that she got because if she honestly felt like she did a good job, because she was licking up glass from the concrete, and then she
did
wanted
the
to be
bare minimum on the runway,
and she wanted to be combat Barbie. Like I understand like having the critiques. I understand because this is a similar critique that she's gotten in the past. You know what I mean?
Sure.
About like I just feel like you're not fully here. I feel like you're not giving it to us the way that you want to give it to us because you've auditioned how many times and you finally get your opportunity and you're not giving. So I feel like she probably got really, really frustrated having to deal with that critique again. But if it's warranted, if the shoe fits, then if the combat boot fits, then it fits. So
yeah, no, I agree. And here's the thing too that I think is unfortunate for her. I really think that Mayhem is one of the best construction queens that we've seen in recent seasons, and it would have been great to have a construction challenge when she was there. I don't know if we're going to get one this season or not. And I really wish that again, it goes back to what we said at the top of the show and the podcast, like producers, look at the queens that you have and where their strengths are and the things that we want to develop out of them. And let's make challenges around that, because I'm sure a lot of these challenges that you're putting together now are not necessarily all-star challenges. They're challenges you could put in any other season. I think one of the reasons why All-Stars 2 is considered to be like the best or one of the best seasons is because you were putting together challenges that not only fit the caliber of queen that you have there, but also were takes on what they're doing in real life. They're marketing themselves. They're doing lip syncs. They're hosting shows. They're going on tour. They're having to design their own mixes, their own songs. They're musicians. They're coming up with dances, like all those different kinds of things. And you caught lightning in a bottle with that. And instead of like really thinking critically about what you can do to flesh those kind of talents out of who you have now, you're just trying to like, instead of, you're like reinventing the wheel. Like, don't do that.
Like, please just, there's an element of frustration to it. And I think part of doing so many seasons so quickly, you dilute the pool of good ideas. And that is just a byproduct of, doing this one too many times. Like, take a breather, revisit, rethink. And, I can't really I don't know. Part of me is like, well, I can't really fault them because I do think that the LADP challenge was fun, and this is the same thing as like trying to recreate that, but it's just like the knockoff is not as good. And and I think, you know, maybe like recognizing that would be a step in the right direction. But you know, Drag Race is booming right now and is so successful, and it's almost like succeeding despite of itself sometimes.
Becoming too big to fail.
Yeah, exactly. Like it will be a success sort of regardless. We may complain about it, but like I'm still gonna watch. I'm not gonna turn it off. I'm still gonna enjoy it. So yeah, I echo all of that. I have like very similar feelings, and I still want to rename All Stars to Second Chances, what it really should be called, or do 3, do Second Chances, do All Stars, and do the regular season. You know what I mean? Because Shea Coulee is an All-Star.
Love that.
As long as there is
busy
physical humor, comedy involved, RuPaul will be there, and some inner saboteurs along the way.
I just hope, to your earlier question, I really hope that we get a bit more strategy in terms of these votes, because Mayhem was willing to do it. She's gone. I mean, Alexis is still there. And I really just, and I don't, that doesn't necessarily mean that I want Shay to go home. It just means play the game, guys. Like, come on. Like, you guys are you're bending over backwards to make this like a regular season. It's not a regular season. Play All Stars. If somebody like Shay ends up in the bottom, if somebody like Miss Cracker ends up in the bottom, send her home, okay? Because then at least you are making the season memorable at best. And I know that they're worried about the fans, and are they going to be able to get jobs because, you know, everybody's going to hate them, or they're going to like, so that's like a real issue. But like to the fans, I'll say, get over yourselves. Then if you don't want to see this kind of stuff happen, then don't watch All Stars. You know, stop asking RuPaul to make All-Star seasons, because you don't want to see you just want an extra season of Drag Race. You don't want an actual All-Star season. Right. That's my rant.
No, I completely agree. Like, the point of, I hate to say it like this, guys. Obviously, everyone wants to win. There's going to be one winner, right? The point of All-Stars...
could be two.
That's true. Foot and mouth. No, the point of All-Stars is not necessarily to come back and win the crown, right? The point of All-Stars is to give yourself another platform to show what you have and to put on an entertaining show.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real, guys. Like, the queens who win, whether it's a regular season or All-Stars, aren't always the ones that people feel like should win. They're normally sometimes like people get more hate for winning. And so, I want to come for that crown and all that kind of stuff. Like, I would much rather be a robbed goddess sometimes in these kind of shows, but like have shown off like what I had to offer and be able to speak my truth and be vulnerable and like maybe help other people at home. Like, that is why I watched the show. Okay. This show helped me as a woman, as a queer woman, to be more in tune with who I am, to see things I hadn't been able to see on TV before. And sometimes the competition portion clouds the beauty of what the show has to offer. So the point of All Stars is to come back and play the game and be entertaining and to be yourself and to try to do your best in the competition. Like, if you go home first, if you're a Derek Barry, like, you went home first. But you know what? One thing this is one of the few times you might ever hear me like compliment Derek Barry, but one thing that she did was try to do something outside the box that we have seen her in her shows, on the show before. We always saw her try to mimic people and be an impressionist and all that kind of stuff. Good for you. Good for you for trying something for new and trying to break out of, even though you're not trying to be Britney Spears, you were also being an impression, whatever. I mean, good for you for trying something. That's all I have to say.
Come through, identity crisis. Let's jump into the lip sync here. Speaking of putting on a show, so we get Morgan McMichaels is back. Why you mad though? To face off against Cracker, who ultimately wins this challenge. First of all, did they coordinate outfits? Like,
I'm like wondering, what was that about?
It was so funny. I watched it and I was like, is Crackers like the reveal of Morgan's outfit? You tear away to get Crackers' outfit.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And then it also fit. I wish you could put Alexis up there too. And
I
then just like
know.
complete my winter fantasy. All right. Well,
I
Amanda,
loved
what
Morgan's outfit. It was gorgeous.
oh my God. She looks fabulous.
She looks so good.
Absolutely fabulous. Aman, what do you think about the lip sync?
It's probably the best one. Well, Evie Oddly was good. I'd say probably the second best one this season so far. They both really went for it. It was edited that way. I couldn't really tell who was going to win. And then when she ends up announcing that the both of them do win, I'm like, so wait a second, did she say that? So does Cracker still get that full 20,000?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. That's a good. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say, yeah, I think she does.
She does. She did. But I did have a moment.
Wait a that then. Why wouldn't you just let her have it then? Because yeah. Morgan's not gonna win shit, okay? So just let Cracker have her moment. Like, kick her off the season the first time that she had to lip sync when she lost to Morgan McMichaels, or to Cameron Michaels rather, and then you bring her back to lip sync again, and then you can't even just give her a clean win. You had to like scare her, which is whatever. But anyway, I think that they both did really, really well. There was acrobatics, there was comedy, there was drama, there was fierceness, there was everything that's good in a lip sync, and they both like didn't seem to tire out either. Like, cause sometimes these queens, because I feel like these lip syncs are longer than usual. You know what I mean? I feel like more of the song gets played this season for whatever reason. So sometimes these queens can, start to run out of ideas, but they both were, 100% the entire way through, and I think that they both deserved it a lot. I loved when Cracker was all the way at the back and like the
like head popping. Yeah.
I had a moment where I was like, oh God, are they going to pan to RuPaul being like upset at the fact? Cause like when Monet did that and like left and then like came back.
Okay. If you're the video version, I'm trying to reproduce the Cracker thing. So it was just so funny. That was so funny. I have to believe one of the reasons why they had both of them win is because they wanted Morgan to reveal that Mayhem was eliminated because they're like BFFs, and we see on Untucked she is a ride home. So like that must have been it. But then it's like, well, then maybe just give it to her. Or give it, you know what I mean? Whatever. And also it was just like, oh, they're both sending home Mayhem when this, when Cracker was also revealed as winner.
I feel like you would have still gotten like a bit. I mean, it's maybe not the same payoff because Mayhem didn't, or Morgan wouldn't have won, but you knew that they're going to be friends. You knew that she was going to be upset that her friend went home anyway. You could have just given it to Cracker and then showed her in Untucked, coming to hug her and everything. You still would have gotten that moment. You didn't need, like, RuPaul, you're so messy. He's so fucking messy.
Can we also talk? Okay. If you are a queen on Drag Race All-Stars and two people get to reveal who they're going to send home, I think it's safe to assume it's only going to be one person because it's never in the history been two different people.
Yeah.
So
my roommate, he was like, oh my goodness, two people are going. I'm like, Corey, they are not sending home two queens. He's like, well, it's the halfway point. That's what they did the last time. I was like, when? No.
They've not done that.
Yeah, I mean, because I think we saw this, in All-Stars 3 when Chi-Chi went home. I think it was Bendel Crumb and Shangela. I think they both sent her home.
We saw it with Fifi O'Hara and All-Stars 2. Like, there's literally never been a time where two people actually went home because of a lipstick reveal.
There's 10 queens. You can't have a double elimination unless you're going to bring some of them back, which they still could at this point. We don't know.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. I don't know. And then, you know what? Maybe this is all just a big ruse. We're being set up for the day when two queens are sent home.
I hope so.
It's a long con.
It's a very long con that we will probably never see the results of, but that's fine. Okay, well, Morgan, yes, so they both win. And Mayhem Miller is sent packing, which, I think part of this is like, oh, she gave up. She was being a little defensive during the critiques. So I think that there were kind of a lot of things that were working against Mayhem. And like Aman said, if you go vote for yourself, like, get out. Girl bye.
Wait, is Morgan aware? Did she tell Morgan I voted for myself? And she just told Michelle, right?
They didn't show it if she did.
Like, I kind of wish we had seen that because Morgan would have been like, girl, slap. I mean, like, Morgan is the one that started off All Stars 3, like from the get-go, being like, I'm voting out the strongest person here, which clearly that was what Mayhem's thought process had been too. So I just, that Morgan would have shaken some sense into her.
Yeah.
I love how she starts helping her pack and it's like, yeah, actually, you know what? I do have to go. So
she just threw things in the bag.
So get out. All right. Well, is there anything that you guys want to talk about from Untucked?
I liked that we got to see. I was wondering if they were going to show Michelle come to see her because of the fact that they sort of kind of got into it a little bit. And I was Team Michelle here because, I get it. Like, there are some times where if you just keep getting like the same kind of critique, or if you really feel like you did a good job and you're being told the opposite by the judges, yeah, like you are an artist, you are sensitive about your shit, you are going to be upset. So I'm glad that she was upset. I'm glad that she didn't hold back. I'm glad that I when she explained her thought process, she's like, you know what if I just give a little sass back, just like let you guys know that like I'm serious about this. Like I get it. I'm not mad at her for doing it, but at the same time, I'm glad that Michelle was like, girl, like you know what your image is. You just come off as this sweet girl. So like when you did that, it was like, ooh, okay, you know what I mean? I feel like it was two people being as honest as possible with one another, and I like to see that because Michelle can be really, really tough on these queens, but at the end of the day, they should all know that it's all love. Like I can't think of any queen that's ever had really anything bad to say about Michelle. People usually have a problem with RuPaul, which is interesting. I want somebody to sit down with Michelle and have a little kiki and see how it's like being in between RuPaul and queens half the time, because I'm willing to bet that she is friends with a bunch of the queens that do not like him. So I like that we got to see that from the two of them.
Yeah, it was really at DragCon a couple years ago. I had the opportunity to meet Mayhem, and something that's always struck me, like I felt like season 10 had a lot of really strong queens on the season, and a lot of them happened to go home early, and I felt like Mayhem was one of them. I was really happy that Mayhem got another shot, and I really was shocked when I went to DragCon because that was season 10 was just aired or was in the process. Actually, it was right before the final 4 lip synced and all that kind of stuff. And Mayhem had this was Saturday afternoon, had no line, and I couldn't understand why, because I felt like a lot of people were upset when Mayhem left, and a lot of people had been anticipating Mayhem coming on to Drag Race. And I got to kind of just chat with her for 10 minutes, and she was just so down to earth, so complimentary of all the other queens that were there. Is just a clear sister to the community, and on top of the fact that she's also just an amazingly talented queen. And she didn't have to spend 10 minutes talking with me, but she was just like, I've got nothing else to do. Let's chat. Let's have a go. Who else have you met with? Oh my God, their booth is so fierce. Have you seen this person? You should go check out this person too. And not just hyping up quote unquote big names within the Drag Race community. She was going, this queen over here, they haven't been on Drag Race, but you need to go oversee their booth because it's really, really great. You're going to love their merch. That's the kind of queen that you should be looking for to uplift the community. So I had no issue with her kind of snapping back a little bit, because if you feel like you have done the best that you can and people are just coming at you with negativity, that's a very human response to have. And I applaud her for allowing herself to be vulnerable enough to share that vulnerable side with us. And I was happy that we had the conversation with her and Michelle where they could openly talk about it too. Because to your point, Aman, I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, and she's the type of queen that I would just want to hang out with. Even in the confessionals, she just seems like someone who you would want to kiki with. I just really, really vibe with her. I think some of her performances on Drag Race, some of the things have been okay, but yeah, that's really cool to hear that story, Beth, because I think it puts together more of a picture of who Mayhem is, and I think that makes me appreciate her all that more.
Yeah,
all that here. More. Come through English lessons.
Listen, Liana, you're just going for the Beth Dixon English lessons extraordinaire class, whatever. I can't say anything.
I know, right? I saw a comment about this, and I meant to read it earlier about this particular challenge. This was on Reddit, I think, but it was so what do you call improv when it's not funny? Like, that made me laugh.
Improve. That's what you call it.
Yes. Well, hopefully next week we will get an improvement because we are getting the Snatch game and we're getting the Snatch game of love. I see
Damn, so
Amon
it's
having
literally 3 improvs in a row.
Yup.
At least this one is you choose your character, you choose how you respond. There's that portion of it. I hated Snatch Game in Love last. I appreciated that they wanted to switch it up a little bit. I was not here for it. I hope
It
that
sucks
we
last
just
year.
do.
It
Yeah, I
sucked.
just hope it's much better. I love Jeffrey Boyer Chapman though, so hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of Jeffrey Boyer Chapman, so RuPaul's Drag Race Canada is going to be premiering next week. So the premiere is July 2nd, and that is with the article that I read, it's Brooklyn Heights, Jeffrey Boyer Chapman, and Stacey McKenzie, who are all sort of like co-hosting. So they it's not like, oh, Brooklyn Heights is the new RuPaul. Brooklyn was very clear about like not coming for RuPaul's gig. Like, we're a team. It is the 3 of us all hosting. So we are going to be doing at least some coverage of Canada. I think we're going to do a separate series. So we're going to keep the US the same, and then we'll cover Canada like we would for an international Survivor season. We're going international, right up north, right across the border, to talk about RuPaul's Drag Race Canada. So that coverage will be out. Look for that in your feeds. Not sure if we're going to do a video for that, but we'll figure it out. There will at least be a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, okay, I think that's everything. Beth, where can people find you on social media? What are you up to?
Sure. People can find me on social media at AugustaWind11. My cat just decided to walk in the background. Hey, what's up? At AugustaWind11 on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. I stream a couple days a week on Twitch. I also am on My Weekly Meltdown, where we are currently covering Big Brother 10. This past episode that we had Michelle Costa come right on and talk about her HOH reign. So that was a lot of fun.
Oh, I have to listen to that.
It was so good. She's amazing. And this week, I am looking forward to watching Rennie's HOH, and we are hoping to have a special guest join us from BB10 again this week if we're able to get them. So,
Ooh.
And Amon, how about you? Where can people find you on social media? What are you up to?
You can find me at Amon Adwin on Twitter, continuously speculating about the viability of Big Brother All-Stars 22, you know. Also, once again, if you're a Glee fan, check out me and Matt's podcast, The Quiet Room. And that's it.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Twitter at Liana RHAP, talking about Survivor, doing that Survivor rewatch. This week we talked about Survivor China episode 5. And we had Ali Lasher as the guest along with Mike and I. We celebrated our 100th episode, and we play a little fun game throughout that. So look out for that. That should be out soon. Also, for people who submitted an application to the class of 2020, we got y'all's applications. There are a lot of applicants, so we are slowly working through that. So be patient with us as that process is going along. All right, last plugs here. Become a patron of RHAP.
Yes.
Super easy. Go to patreon.com. Rob has a podcast. That is what is currently supporting us and supporting our ability to bring you our glow up video, which we're working on over here. Leave your star ratings and reviews on iTunes. Shout out to Scott St. Pierre behind the scenes, and we will talk to y'all soon. Bye.